Hello everybody to Kunsthall Oslo today. I am Mahdi Najar, one of the Palestinian guys living in the Palestinerleier near to Yaqub Shirkan, and this is my friend Mohamed. He's the spokesperson of the Palestinerleir. We're going to show you today the presentation of the camp and of the Palestinian situation, the Palestinian refugee situation in Norway. So I think we will start from the picture of the camp here. As you see, this picture for Tina Pop, we got it in the last winter in the camp where we are living. And this is the photos for the guys they're living in the camp. Most of them, not all of them. Okay. As you see, maybe in 2009, before 2009, it was normal for the Palestinian refugees to get permission or protection as automatically, if you prove your nationality as you Palestinian come from these areas, it was easy for you to get the permission to stay in Norway or the protection. But after 2009, it became hard. After 5/5/2009. 5th of May, it's became more hard for the Palestinian refugee to get the asylum in Norway because there is something changed in the system of the policy system in Norway, not in the ground in Palestine. Nothing has changed. Only changed maybe to the worst. All of you knows the situation there in West Bank or in Gaza or in the camps outside of Palestine. But there is they change it from automatically protection to the Palestinians to automatically rejection. 75% of the Palestinian asylum seeker in Norway, they got the second rejection. And only 25% they got the protection after 2009. That's not sure, that's the UDE, what they said. Yeah, from collective to individual. Maybe you can start now, Mohamed, you can show us the second part.
Okay, so the main change happened in 2009 that UDI suggested for the Ministry of Justice to start treating the cases from collective answer for specific groups, asylum seekers groups, to individual treatment for the cases individually and without any connection with the areas they are coming from. But what happened on the ground that they changed the treatment from collective positive answer to a collective negative answer for some groups. Between these groups are Palestinian refugees or Palestinian asylum seekers in Norway. And here we see the percentage of protection. Before 2009 it was more than 90% for Palestinian asylum seekers. And after 2009 and after this change of the policy named by individual treatment, it's almost between 20 to 24% protection for Palestinian asylum seekers, mainly for people who came with their families, based on humanitarian reasons. And for the rest of the Palestinians, more than 74% of Palestinians who came applying for asylum after 2009, they got rejection answers, negative answers, and mainly the main answers or the main reasons for those negative answers that Palestine is a safe country. And if we want to look for the legal part of this issue, legally Palestinians are stateless. There is no Palestine so far. And since 65 years, we still have this conflict with the Israeli occupation. So there is no Palestine. And even the UDI system here admit that we are stateless, and it's written on our ID cards we get from the immigration police for on the first day we apply for asylum in Norway. Here, these are some numbers for Palestinian asylum seekers in Norway between 2010 and now, between 2011 and 2012. Because after this strict policy, starting from turning the policy to individual and then just gave automatically rejections for any Palestinian who came, it started to give the period with 6 months period to give the negative answer, and now it's just 1 week. So if a new Palestinian came to apply for asylum, it will take 1 week to get the negative answer, and 1 month to get the second negative answer, and it means the final rejection. And he will be asked, or she will be asked to leave Norway immediately. Reasons for rejections, as we see from UDI, that you are a young man who can work, so it's better for you to go and work in your country instead of waste the resources for your country. And I see some of you smiling for this, it's really silly. And torture not systematic enough. They admit that there's a torture happened, but it's not systematic enough to apply for asylum. So some people can hold some torture, it's normal. Or torture might not happen again. UDI admit that torture happened already, but it might not happen again. So you just depend on luck and go, good luck. Or settlers might not attack you again. And this rejection is for a guy who's living in the camp. It's written in his rejection that we admit that you were under attack from settlers. We know that 2 of your cousins get killed in those attacks, and we know that you got injured. We know that your pregnant woman lost her child, but settlers might not attack you again, because this action happened 2 years ago. And just go back.
There's other thing, the 5 reasons for rejecting the Palestinian asylum seeker here. It's about you are not proving that you are Palestinian. Even if you give them all your documents and all your original papers, they need your passport. This the rules saying like that. If you are not proving yourself as a Palestinian with your passport, with your travel document, that we are not sure that you are Palestinian. Even if we prove to them by the Palestinian embassy, like we got a papers from Palestinian embassy, it's directly from West Bank, from the authority, Palestinian authority, to Palestinian embassy, from Palestinian embassy to UDE. We never got it by our hands. That we are those people from this area, with your name and with your picture and with your number, like national number in Palestine. So they are not believed. So maybe 30% of the Palestinian asylum seeker in Norway, they rejected them under the reason like you are not proving that you are Palestinian because you didn't bring your passport. Even if you are applying for your passport, there is a problem to get your passport, because all of you knows about the conflict between Gaza Strip and West Bank, between Fatah and Hamas, I mean. So there's a lot of people, they cannot bring their passport because they are not, it's impossible to them because they are from Hamas or from Fatah, you know about this conflict. So, and now, after the second rejection, when they reject you for this passport, they're bringing for you the passport to deport you. The same passport, you cannot bring it to them, they brought it for themselves from the Palestinian embassy without your knowing about it. And there is we have Mohamed Abu Arman, he got deported with this passport. They brought it for him without his knowing about it. And all of us, for sure, our passport is without landing police now.
To make it more clear, it means that the same reason for rejecting some of the cases, that you didn't prove that you are Palestinian because you didn't handle your Palestinian travel document, they issue those passports or travel documents with a direct communication between the immigration police and the Palestinian embassy. And they issue those passports without even the knowledge for the person himself, and deport him on the same reason that they rejected his case on. So it's just a game, how to start and how to end. You didn't bring your passport, so we cannot recognize you as Palestinian, asylum seeker. We recognize that your case is sensitive, but unfortunately, according to the Norwegian law, we cannot recognize you as Palestinian. But when they want to deport this person, they go and communicate. The Palestinian authorities issue this passport, deport him, and done. So it's just, where is the main, what is the main idea of the asylum policy here? If we are talking about creating reasons for negative answers, not talking about the reasons for giving protection. And all of this is a direct breach for even the Norwegian asylum rules and laws, sorry. And the whole asylum policy is a direct breach for United Nations recommendations and UNHCR recommendations, which says clearly that it's not allowed to deport people for the occupied areas. And this is talking, if we are talking on the case for the people, Palestinians who are coming from Gaza Strip, West Bank, and about the Palestinians who are living in Lebanon camps, it's the same. Palestinians who are just now homeless, completely homeless after the war in Iraq, who used to live in Iraq and Gulf states, they also have the same life or the same destiny. United Nations says that under the current circumstances of generalized violence in Gaza and the West Bank, no return of Palestinian refugees to these areas should be conducted. These recommendations, this is one of the recommendations, were published in 2001, and because of this, the State Minister of Justice, the State Secretary for Asylum in Norway, saying that it's old recommendations and we don't have to follow these recommendations. And UNHCR is saying regarding this that as long as there is no update on these recommendations, it means that it's still happening and there's no change on it. So it's still valid. What we are asking for? We are asking for an immediate stop for deportation of Palestinians and the just treatment of asylum cases, protection of Palestinian asylum seekers in Norway. And this is all, it's just a beginning. I mean, we cannot have a decent dialogue or a decent environment for finding a solution in the same time that immigration police is just waiting for the chance to hunt one of us and deport him to Palestine, West Bank, Gaza Strip, or Lebanon camps, or anywhere. So there is no healthy environment to talk about how can we solve this. It's just decisions and people who are just taking these missions, doing their jobs. They wake up in the morning, going to their police station, having the list of the names to be deported today, and go and search for them, hunt them, take them to Trondheim, transit Motak, and then just fix and a one-way ticket. And in this, and in the end of the day, they will be having a dinner with their girlfriends or their family, and that's done. That's all. But they don't feel, or they might don't feel, or they don't recognize that they are destroying lives in this. They are destroying resources. It's the hugest waste for Norway, for wasting these resources in the time that we are talking about Norway in a need for dentists, journalists, doctors, engineers. You have those people staying in asylum centers for many years, ignored. No one knows about their stories, and they just have to accept the fact that they have to be a victim for the system because of some regulations in the asylum policy, and just to make the Ministry of Justice pleased with those numbers. Who's hitting the number? Who's hitting the record? How many numbers we will deport this year? How many people came to Norway this year? And how many we are paying for how much we are paying for government to take the salary or the price for these lives? Who's responsible for these lives? And why? 2 of us got deported, and now both of them having a disaster in their life. I mean, it's almost the end of their life. Mohamed, to the left, the first one who had been kidnapped from the street when we were on our way to a demonstration against racism, for a law demonstration against racism in Jonstorget. They came, they kidnapped him from the street, and they took him. They even didn't want to talk with us. We were just asking, where are you taking him? They came with a civil car, civil police. We even we're not sure that they are police. It's a kidnap on the street. Why? Because he's an asylum seeker. Because there's a collective democracy here, unfortunately. And this is just one of the shocking facts we faced in Norway. We came thinking that it's finally the chance to start to establish a life, finally the chance to have a protection. But unfortunately, it's a new level of the struggle, searching for a life, searching for a secured life. Rami Abu Arman, he's lost now in Ramallah, his family in Jericho. Since he got deported, I think he got deported last year, in the end of last year. I don't remember dates, unfortunately. Lots of things now we are forgetting. He didn't meet his family. He didn't see his mother so far. He's in West Bank. But he still cannot see his family. And he's still escaping on the streets of Ramallah. And it's just because of the policy. It's a decision made and they are doing their job. UDI says, in just excusing what's happening, that the security situation in Palestinian areas has fluctuated between war and a reasonable situation. And UNHCR has not changed their recommendations since 2001, even though the situation has changed for the better. So UDI has their own resources saying that the situation is better, and UNHCR are ignorant. And this word in Norwegian, I cannot understand it in Norwegian, but I can. It's about immigration regulation considerations. And I, even as an ordinary person, I really don't understand what they mean in this, about regulation considerations. It seems a racist, something racist, really. About the situations in Gaza and West Bank, United Nations report in 2010 and 2012 still saying that the worst year for human rights for citizens of Palestine, citizens of Palestine between 2010 and 2012. The Israeli occupation still exists. Blockade of Gaza still exists. Violent, the settlers still exist. Settlements still exist. It's being bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's all done in a complete silence from the international community. The wall is covering so far 9% of the West Bank, and it's cutting the whole West Bank for small pieces. More than 600 checkpoints in West Bank. And all of these situations and conditions we are talking about, and about the blockade, about electricity, about even the water now, it's difficult to find in Gaza Strip and some areas in West Bank, especially in Hebron. And the last report from Hebron that it's a ghost city. It's allowed just for Jews to walk on the streets, and for the rest of the people who are originally living there, they are not allowed to get out even from their houses sometimes. We hear every day about, every month, Friday, every weekend in Palestine about what's happening in Be'in and those areas. We hear every day about what's happening in Gaza Strip, what's happening in Lebanon camps, and the same destiny for the people who used to live in the Gulf states. And it's still going on, nothing changed. Even it's just going to the worse. And the official travel advice from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, it's clear for all Norwegians that it's not recommended to go and visit the Palestinian areas. Even they made some limits for the distance between you and being in places and the other areas, like Gaza Strip, that you are not allowed, or it's not recommended to be around Gaza Strip for 40 kilometers, because it's dangerous. So it's dangerous for you as Norwegians to go there, but it's safe for Palestinians to get back and live a peaceful life. About the ways for working from the Palestinian camp. There's many ways of working. We work with supporters, organizations, politicians, and artists. And we will talk about art today because we are now in an art institutions and it's an art project. And this mixture between our political work and art started with Ashraf Khuffash project. Ashraf is one of the inhabitants in the camp, and he started a project called Artists in Residence in the camp. From this project, artists started to come to the camp, contribute in what they can do in many fields in art. And starting from this point, we started being in many art institutions and art projects. The first one, like I mentioned, is Arts in Residence, and then the Poet Festival in Literatur Husa, Oslo World Music Festival, Advent på Heineonstad. In Heineonstad, we were touring the exhibitions there. We made the relation, or we created the relation between the art work here in Heineonstad, and we made this communication between these artworks and ourselves as a people, as asylum seekers. We didn't have this direct connection with art, but from these artworks we found the way to start talking about how we saw this artwork in our eyes as asylum seekers and according to our experience in the life. So each one of us, from 4 of us or 5 of us, contributed in this project. We were talking about how I see this piece of art in my view and how I see the connection between me and the story about this art work, or the name of it, or the person who did it. And it was a good experience to mix between art and politics and a real life for a person who experienced most of his life in a war situation. And in National Theatre, this Papyrus Fotlinger, Mahdi and Ashraf were in this project, and they did well. And this project had huge criticizing from Minister of Justice that how can you allow some immigrants and illegal people to be in the main national theatre in Norway, as it's just something strange for them. Many projects, as you see, Literatur Populaire in the camp itself. State of Palestine stamp, it was a project for an artist also, was a part of Artists in Residence. And today, Kunsthall Atelier Populaire, Palestinerleier in Kunsthall. The Palestinian festival, Palestinerleir festival was last October, and it was, I can say that it was a huge success for the camp, that we made a festival from almost nothing, completely nothing, but it was really a huge festival, and more than 500 persons were in this festival. This is the poster for an Advent på Heineonstad, and the picture in National Theatre. And a question about why art. I mean, for us as refugees or asylum seekers, we have some resources already. I mean, some of us are engineers, some of us are journalists, doctors, and all kinds of resources, but we have just one artist. But we succeeded in somehow to connect art and politics together, because we found that it's one of the powerful ways to reach the majority of the audience in, between the Norwegian society in general, but we are talking about Norway now. And it's art for art's sake, or artistic value, as artistic value. And like I said, it's a powerful language. It's a powerful language in a way that you don't have to spend huge power, but it's effective. With small steps, it's really effective. Effective between the people themselves, even with the politicians also, because it reaches huge, it gives a huge level of challenging, and it reaches also a huge number of audience. It's, of course, it's a new ways of expressions ourselves and reaching out on a personal level. Because of this, we insisted to be visible on our faces, names and stories, all together. The Palestinian refugee camp in Hausmannsgata is the first of its kind in Norway, and now, after 1 year of protesting on Oslo Street, on the streets of Oslo, it became the European's longest protest, the European continuous longest demonstration, even longer than Alta protest, if you know about it. So we are hitting the record here in Norway, but unfortunately we didn't change the policy yet, but we absolutely achieved a lot. One of the things that we achieved, that we have people like you are sitting here today and listening and interested in knowing about the Palestinian camp and the Palestinian case, the Palestinian asylum seekers in Norway in general. The 6th of April was set to be the last day of the peaceful demonstration after 1 year of protesting, but we found that it's not the end. The 6th of April was a date set according to an agreement with Oslo Commune that we have the permission to protest in this area until the 6th of April, and on the 6th of April we have to move out. But what we found that we didn't change anything in the policy, so we still going on. It's not the end, but we have to find, or to find out another way of expressing ourselves and showing the fact that we didn't come here to establish a camp for 1 year and end it and then nothing changed. We started this protest to show the fact about what's happening, what's wrong happening in the asylum policy, insisting that we will change this, whatever it takes, and insisting that we are a peaceful movement, whatever the government is thinking, whatever the government is preparing for us, but we still saying and insisting that this is a peaceful demonstration for a fair treatment for our cases, for a just asylum policy in Norway, and we believe that we will achieve it, because we believe that we are on the right side, and people like you still supporting gives us more and more stability and hope and more strength. Thank you very much.
Now I think we have like a video showing something about our daily life in the camp. We want to show you.
مشي My head
Also, we would like, as a Palestinian camp, to invite you to join us in our biggest demonstration, one of our biggest demonstrations, and the next Saturday, starting at 2 o'clock, from Houseman's Gata, Palestinerleier, from the camp. We will move from there to Stortinga, and we will end this demonstration with a big concert, a huge concert. There is like famous Norwegian singers and actors, they joining us there. I hope to see you there to join us, and might it will be the solution to give all the asylum seekers in Norway the protection. Thank you very much, and if anybody of you have some question, feel free to ask.